So we've bought Cursor for $60 billion, and this effectively is going to be our new XAI team. We're going to buy you for $60 billion, and if we don't go through with that, we're going to give you $10 billion.
For some reason, monopolies are just allowed now. I think that their valuation is based on absolute nonsense.
So on the 16th of June, I think as we discussed, SpaceX agreed to buy Anysphere, which is the maker of the AI coding tool Cursor, for $60 billion in an all-stock deal. So $60 billion. Okay. Now, Leo's better than me with numbers and stuff, but I'll tell you where I am with this. So basically, SpaceX, which had its IPO a couple of weeks ago, valued at $1 trillion or whatever, initial share price around $120, something like that, went up to about $230 for the share price. And I think for a long, and a lot of that valuation, I should say, a lot of that valuation is projected on what XAI is going to do and the power of XAI. And Musk has come out recently and said that XAI needs to be built from the ground up, right? And that there's a lot of issues with that. And he's done that before. Like, I give Musk his credit. He's done that very successfully before with various elements of his empire of starting them from the ground up again, be that SpaceX, be that Tesla, etc. And so we need to build XAI from the ground up again. So we bought Cursor for $60 billion, and this effectively is going to be our new XAI team. And for people that don't know Cursor's it's pretty well established. The money's astronomical, by the way. It's also really interesting, Leo, I don't know if you saw this, but he made this bid prior to the IPO and was like, look, the offer was something like, we're going to buy you for $60 billion. And if we don't go through with that, we're going to give you $10 billion. Which it's very Elon Musk. It's similar to the strategy I think he used to buy what was Twitter and is now X. So very strange. So huge sums of money, not, in my opinion, not real money. And even though it seems an astronomically large amount of money, Leo can get into the details, I think, but it's basically the same money that's been made by SpaceX in floating with its initial public offering. And I actually think this is quite a smart move because I think the team at Cursor do know what they're doing. I think they've got a lot of goodwill in the bank. And I think this potentially could be a great way for XAI to meaningfully improve their model beyond the joke that is Grok at the moment. And again, final point for me, just as a slight caveat to that, we need to look at what happened at Meta. They spent $16 billion bringing in Alexander Wang, and that hasn't quite worked out. So yeah, I actually think this one is quite a smart move. And even though it's astronomically large amounts of money, I think the portfolio of Musk has justified it. But would love to know your take on this, Leo.
Yeah. I'll just start off by going off of what you said in terms of SpaceX AI valuation being based on XAI. I think that their valuation is based on absolute nonsense. Personally. Pie in the sky dreams.
But it's the markets. When have the market's ever been wrong before?
All the time. I think it could drop 90% and still be slightly overvalued. But anyways, we'll leave that aside for a second. So SpaceX or SpaceX AI, whatever you want to call it, their plan was to raise $75 billion in the IPO. They ended up raising $85 billion. So they basically spent a good chunk of it buying Cursor. Now, you can say Anysphere or Cursor. Anysphere is basically like the name of the company that owns Cursor, but all they do is, that's all they got in there is Cursor. So Anysphere raised at about a $30 billion valuation in November. And the trajectory of their revenues is pretty insane. It's $100 million in January 2025, $500 million in June, $1 billion in November, $2 billion in February. So
and this is actual in the books, right? This isn't projections. This is actual documented.
But it's hard to put an exact number on it because they're not public. So just take those numbers with a grain of salt. It's pinned within about 1.5 billion. based on the sources. So again, check your references.
That's how much I'm worth. I'm worth 1.5 billion within a range of 1.5 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. So interestingly enough, I spoke to Chris about this as well from Toxec, TOXSEC, and there's a couple good points that he mentioned to me that I'll bring up here as well. One, this is kind of like an intertwined spiderweb conflict of interest. Um, for some reason, like monopolies are just allowed now. A little while back, these types of things wouldn't happen. I wonder like how this is going to continue to move forward in the future. Um, do I blame Musk for doing this? No, I would do the same exact thing. Um, Cursor, for those of you that don't know, like there's models that you can choose from, basically like in a drop down menu, and so like Claude, ChatGPT, etc. Um, and so the plan is to have Grok as one of those models in there. There's no further public information on what the exact plan is. We kind of tried to think about it and like what Elon would try to do with this. My question for Chris when we spoke about this is his plan possibly to just have Grok as the only model on Cursor?
Mm.
And we didn't rule that out entirely. It does seem like that would be a little counterintuitive and probably have a large drop off for Cursor's revenues if he did that. That would be a pretty big backlash. So probably not a high chance for that. But there probably is a very high chance for some type of incentive for users to use Grok when they're using Cursor. Maybe like a discount on subscription or something along those lines. Because basically, as of now, Grok is barely used for any enterprise use cases compared to Claude, for example. So I think the plan here really is to get Grok to be a more highly used model. But yeah, if you just think about the spider web of this whole thing, you got the Colossus One data center, which is Anthropic basically renting a whole bunch of compute from Elon. And I can say from Elon because it's even though it's SpaceX AI, he owns the majority share of that company. He can make the decisions. We've had that conversation about that specific data center and how Elon could just pull the plug on it. So it's all kind of intertwined, and I think that people are going to end up realizing how reliant they will be on SpaceX AI based on certain deals like this eventually.
Mm. I think that's true, man. I think that's really true. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see to what extent Cursor continues, if it gets brought in house, and if it's also just look, they're smart people that we're going to use them. We're going to move them to this part of the company and move them around and stuff like that. So yeah,